So I was giving you some examples of what less controlled practice is like. So if we see that we had no difficulty with the two training wheels, and so we removed one, and if we see that now with only one training wheel they are still doing a good job, I think the time has come to remove both training wheels, okay? And this is what we call freer practice, okay? We are moving from controlled practice to less controlled practice, and now this stage is going to be called freer practice. But with this analogy, I hope that you can see very clearly that nobody can ride a bike just like this, just by getting on a bike. It's really very important that we scaffold, that we accompany our students as much as possible. In this freer practice stage, learners will have the possibility to use the target language, of course, but they can also use some of their already existing language. So what does that mean? We still, in this freer practice stage, we still work on the target language. That's why it's called practice, because we are practicing the new. But it's a little bit more open, okay? And one of the main differences between freer practice and controlled practice is the aim. In controlled practice, we mentioned the aim was accuracy. And we have worked hard so that students actually become accurate at using that new target language. Now the focus changes. Our aim now is fluency. They have already mastered the new language. Now we want them to use it with a little bit more of fluency. And for this to happen, okay, for this fluency to happen, the focus on accuracy needs to happen first. A couple of examples of freer practice are, for example, surveys, all right? So I want you to think of students in a class conducting a survey, all right? Let us imagine that we have been working with vocabulary related to food, and let us imagine that we have been working with the structures. Do you like? Yes, I do. No, I don't. If that is what we have presented, then we are going to engage our students in typical vocabulary controlled practice, plus do you like? Yes, I do. No, I don't. Restricted controlled practice. If we see that students master not only the vocabulary, but also the do you like? Yes, I do. No, I don't. Now we're going to give them the possibility to find out in class, for example, what's the food my mates like eating the most, and what is it that they don't like eating. So students will be moving around asking each other, do you like pizza? Oh yes, I do. And there I go with a survey. Do you like fish? Oh no, I don't. So if you pay attention, okay, some students might even go like, oh yes, I like it very much. My favorite food is pizza. So not only will they be using the target language, but they might also use other existing language, okay? Find someone who, I don't know if you've ever done an activity like this one. So let's imagine the same context. We're dealing with food. So I'm telling my students to find someone who likes, I don't know, spaghetti. So I have to walk around saying, do you like spaghetti? No, I don't. Oh, do you like spaghetti? Yes, I do. There you go. You found that someone. When students have the possibility to share ideas or share stories, or even if they have the possibility to say what they like, what they don't like, what they normally do, they might use, of course, the target language, but we open it up a little bit, exchanging personal information and getting to know you activities in which you have to relate personally to the topic that we are dealing with. It's really, really, really very important that we provide these opportunities, both in face-to-face instances, but remotely as well. So here you've got some of the typical examples where we've got the survey, the do you like I was mentioning before, with French fries and burgers and pizza, etc. And the typical information gap activities where I have one, or I've got some information and you've got another one and we have to talk. So as you can see, for example, we've got two different bedrooms, and there are different objects in different places, so we have to talk to each other. I cannot see your picture, you cannot see mine, and then I ask you, so where is the ETs, or where is the ball? Okay, the ball is, etc. So one asks the questions, the other provides the answers. So it might be we are opening this up to already language that students can have, but still we are practicing the target language. So I want to insist on my analogy with the bicycle. We have already given them the possibility to use the bicycle with the two training wheels. And we did not remove the training wheels until they were ready. And when they were ready, we removed only one. And it was not until they were ready that we removed the two training wheels. And we gave them the possibility to ride the bike without the training wheels. So what's next? Is it enough? And the idea is that when you really have acquired something, when you really own it, you can make it even more your own by transferring that you have learned to different situations or different scenarios. That is why on the screen you've got riding the bike on the sand, riding the bike in the snow, riding the bike on a mountain, on a rocky mountain, and you've got the bike, riding the bike in the water. What does this mean? Transferring your riding skills to different scenarios which might offer you different challenges. And this, my dear colleagues, is what we call the application stage, all right? It's a step further, it's beyond practice, all right? And I think it's really, really very important that we analyze this lesson stage. Of course, we've been talking about contextualizing. Of course, we've been talking about presenting something new. And of course, we have discussed the importance of getting students to master the new. All right. There is a famous saying that says that practice makes perfect. I'm a little bit uncomfortable with the word perfect, but what I think is that practice actually helps you own it, helps you master it, and it is when you have the possibility to use what you have learned in different scenarios that you truly make it your own. And this is why the application stage is so important. Let us go to a little bit the rationale behind the application stage. We are saying that students need sufficient opportunities to practice and apply what they are learning. And of course, they need the opportunity to get better at it. And this is the very important role, a word you've got on the screen there has, which is feedback. We will not be discussing feedback in Module 3, but we will definitely discuss it in Module 4 as part of assessment, all right? So you practice it, and you need plenty of practice to master anything, all right? And of course, practice is not enough. You then need plenty of opportunities to use it in different situations. And the best way in which you can get better at whatever you've learned is if somebody provides you with improvement-oriented feedback. What does that mean? I give you feedback that is going to help you get better at what you're doing. And we teachers have a very important role here. Now, we've been talking about a very unusual situation we are going through, educators and students and their families. And we've been talking about online teaching and online learning, referring to it as ideal, all right? But we have also been talking about making things happen even if technology is not at our disposal. So it's really very important that we round up this third video of Module 3 by saying that effective remote assignments, those assignments that we send, that remote homework that we send, has a very clear objective, which is to help students learn. They need to present the information unless you have had the possibility to do it online. We need to explain the concepts and we need to model the skills. I'm going to insist once again, if you have the possibility to do it through synchronous or asynchronous online teaching, fantastic. But if you don't have that possibility, then it needs to be part of that self-study guide, all right? Second, it's really very important that these remote tasks ask questions and lead students in discussion. If you have the possibility to have online instances where you can interact with your students, go for it. But if not, include it in your tasks. Third, they need to engage students in activities or assignments that will give them the possibility to practice and apply what they are learning. It needs to happen remotely. It would normally happen in a face-to-face context. But if that is not the case, in that self-study guide, in those remote tasks, it needs to happen. And I am highlighting something very important here. Research indicates that skills practiced to a peak of smoothness and automaticity tend to be retained indefinitely. Do you know what that means? You need to practice, 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 and practice until you do it effortlessly. And once you do, and that is why we've got the word automaticity there, then you need to use it in a variety of scenarios. And that's how you're going to make it your own in the long run and not just for a little while. And of course, one more thing to remember is that practice needs to be distributed across time and embedded within a variety of tasks. And this is something I have already mentioned. Practice is not about giving always the same type of control practice activities. Remember that practice is not meant to be dull and boring, okay? Because if that's what happens, it's going to be counterproductive, okay? That is why in this module we have discussed a variety of controlled practice activities. Make them feel they are not practicing, but they are, okay? You move them from one activity to the other, yet practicing is your goal. So this slide in particularly summarizes very well what effective remote tasks need to bear in mind.